Welcome to another Cup of Joe with your host, Joe Tumalo, CEO of Major Plan Giving, Development, and Jenny Kleintop from Philanthropy Ops. Welcome back, Jenny.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
A good day, always a pleasure. Jenny's super smart, generous, talented. What else? What am I missing?
We don't have enough time for all the goodness that I have to share.
I forget what you told me, but really good on the philanthropy operations side. Worked at some very large shops, hundreds of thousands of people that you've trained in all kinds of operational functions, procedures. And today we're going to talk about plan giving, developing plan giving prospects, a prospect list. And a good place to start for most people, since you're the expert, for the average size shop that doesn't really have a plan giving department, just to get a quick start could be what, as far as criteria to use?
Yeah, and this is a great conversation to have, and I'm glad we're partnering on together because you really have to work together, front end and operations, to get to where you need to get. And you can start simple. I've seen people think they have to pull like the world to start, but you don't. If you're a small shop, not sure where to start, you can look at your database and your people that are in your database and start there. And pull simple criteria. So for example, who was given in the last 7 out of 10 years, or who's above a certain age, like a simple list, or who do you already know that you've talked to that expressed interest in legacy giving? So that's a simple way to start. And then we can talk about like the next layer, the next level you could get to.
So how do you, I'm not far from a data person, as you know, because you've helped me with my database work. How do you do I would think 10 plus years is another way to start, right? To do 7 out of 10, the thing with people say, I'll do anybody that's given 10 or more years consecutive. Okay, what if they skipped a year, but they're still loyal, right? Or their giving year is different than our fiscal year. They may have fallen off for a year, but they're still loyal. But to do 7 out of 10, how complicated is that versus 10 consecutive years? I guess it depends on the CRM.
So the answer I would give a VP, yep, we can do it, right on top of it. The answer I'd give my database peeps, it's going to take some effort because 10 plus consecutive years, easy to pull. That's typically a field in the database. 7 out of 10 years, or if you want to do different, usually you have to do a query export and then go and count, give them a number for each year they gave, and then count up the numbers across the board to get to the 7. So consecutive years, easy to pull. A number out of a number, a little more work, but it's definitely doable. It's nothing way too complex that you can't do. You should be able to do it.
Are you doing that manually in Excel? Are you exporting into Excel and then doing that generally?
So whenever I help someone start out, I walk them through how to manually do it, because whenever I hear the word manual, Joe, I crunch up, but I walk them through manually how to do that in Excel. And then I say, okay, it's the first time we're doing it, so you know the process, and then we're going to automate it for you. And so there's macros you can set up in Excel. There's Access or SQL, you can set it up, because eventually you want to get to a push of a button, because we know how you work, Joe. You're going to come back to us and ask us for this list again, right? And we want to automate it for you.
Cool. And I was sharing with you earlier a formula that one of my early mentors and owner of our company, originally Brian Sagristano, developed, and I'll just quickly share that with you and folks. And this takes it to a whole nother level, right? He developed a rating system. So yeah, if you're mid-size, larger size shop, this is a lot of what we just talked about. First of all, rating number 1 is always start with, if there's anybody in our database that has plan giving attached to their record, pick up the phone and call them. And is it real? Is this? And I find fairly often that not everybody coded as a legacy society member is actually one. That they talked about it, they went back and forth with a letter of intention, but the donor never pulled the trigger, so to speak. I have to change my phraseology there. The donor never signed it and committed to it. Sorry about that.
Did you find you're like re-qualifying these people when you reach out to
Absolutely.
them?
Yeah, by the way, that should be done all the time. When people use the term stewardship, I say stewardship plus cultivation. Because the reality is some of our donors might increase that initial intention as they get older and maybe their financial situation improves or is more certain, I should say. And so we might, and I did this on a personal level, I'll make it 10% beneficiary of one of my IRAs that I don't use anymore.
Mhm.
And then for me, it was a life triggering event. It was at a college and where both my sister and I graduated. And then she passed away. And then my wife and I decided, boy, would it be cool to do 10% is not going to do it, but what if we did a larger amount and established a endowed scholarship in her name? So it could be a life triggering event. Something happens where I really want to do more. Or, hey, you know what? We're in our 80s and I have plenty of money. And either I don't have kids or my kids shouldn't get everything. Maybe I'll do more. So I think it's that constant. We need to always be ABQ, as I say, always be qualifying. Even people that are, don't just send them birthday cards and invite them to luncheons. See if there's more there, deferred or immediate giving.
So how often do you feel like you're following up with these people once they're in that stewardship cultivation mode?
Well, ideally, it all depends on resources, how many people are in the shop. Ideally, I think they should be called twice a year.
Gotcha.
And if they want to visit, and a very simple question I ask them is, how would you like to be? What would you need to see from us, hear from us to feel like more connected or as connected as you want to be? And to be feeling good about this intention. It's a simple question. Maybe like I don't like going to Giving Legacy Society luncheons. I just don't enjoy it. That's me. Some people do. I'd rather go volunteer for the charity. Come in, spend the day with the students or something. That connects me more than going to a luncheon.
Gotcha. So that tells me to get like your number one there, and you're going to call them twice a year. I need help work with you to get you some kind of dashboard or list or something you have easy access to so you don't forget to call them twice a year.
Awesome. And then all these other formula, whatever you want to call these other ratings, would somebody be able to do what you said, the same thing? Just would take that much longer to do each of these?
Yeah. So if you have your already known ones, that's an easy dashboard list we can give you. And then if we're going down from 2, we were talking earlier, to 8, 9, where they have ratings attached to them. So we can pull the list of anyone who's given, right? 15 years or more, 11, 7, or 3 out of so many years. And the ratings, you should be able to do that from a database operations perspective by using outside screening vendors, plus creating your own engagement score within your organization. So if you do outside screening vendors, you can get things like giving capacity, if they've given a planned gift or trust somewhere else, and you'll give them points for that. But you also can do an engagement score rating where you say, how engaged are they with us? How connected are they with us? And we're going to give them certain points and give them more or less ratings. So I call it an engagement score rating or connection score. And then you have your wealth, external, internal.
Yeah, it's just a personal thing. I don't spend a lot of time on looking at wealth screening data until I've qualified the person. I see so many people spending so much time. It's like, well, first of all, I've tried to get this person on the phone 15 times and they're not interested in connecting. Why don't we wait till I have a conversation, then I'll look at the wealth data. Your thoughts on that?
100% with you. I always say the wealth is in external vendors is a way to filter down hundreds and thousands of names, because sometimes if you're a large system, you have hundreds and thousands of names. So you would probably give me some choice words if I gave you a list of 100,000 people, right? And so the screening allows us to filter it down into a manageable list. So I can say, okay, Joe, we have 100,000. We narrowed it down to 100 where you can start. And then once you take those, and it's unverified, unvalidated ratings, but we're going to give it to you. And then once you qualify them, then we can give you the next set and the next set. So how to make it manageable for you. We're more than happy to give you all of them, but this is just a resource to help narrow it down and make your life easier. I think, does that make your life easier?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm listening to a book now called Extreme Ownership, which I highly recommend. It's by 2 former Navy SEALs that served in Iraq. The first half of every chapter are these crazy stories of them in the battlefield, and then the other half is how to apply what they learned and taught in the battlefield to corporate leadership, and they stress over and over again, it's got to be, and this is from life and death situations, it's got to be simple. Everybody has, you have to break it down into munchable chunks, and everybody needs to know exactly, like you said, be partners and working together and know why we're doing this and working together. Yeah.
100%. I love that. I've seen the YouTube video on them. I haven't read the book. I should read the book because
Yeah.
I love that. Like simplify it, streamline it. Don't make it overly complicated. I love it.
Great stuff. As always, Jenny Kleintop, Philanthropy Ops. How can people get in touch with you?
I'm over LinkedIn, so definitely go connect with me on LinkedIn to get a bunch of content. You can also visit my website, philanthropyops.com, to sign up for my newsletter to get a weekly actionable tip.
And if you need help with your operations, your data work, hire Jenny. She is super smart, talented. What else was the other one? Charming. Yeah.
There, right back at you, Joe.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. Bye.